All right, welcome everybody to the world's greatest podcast with the coolest name. This is the Pod Podcast. Our newest episode is with Woo from Loo Wipes, and this is really interesting and really exciting. Like all of our episodes, we're going to hear about a early stage, first to market brand that's going places. It's really interesting. I'm excited to meet you, Woo. I'm excited to hear this. Like all of our early stage founders, Woo's crazy enough to dive into the deep end of the pool and create something new that's been needed for quite a while. So let's talk a little bit about what gave you the idea to create Loo Wipes and where you're going.
Yes. Yeah. So, first of all, Peter, thank you so much for having me. I am super stoked to be here and kind of just talk more about Lou and also where we were personally inspired to kind of start the brand and the business. Um, so one day my co-founders and I were, we've always wanted to do something of our own. That was a big dream and passion of ours. And so we were noodling on different ideas. And one of the things that we talked about was how there's so much plastic everywhere in our lives. Things that are stuffed in plastic bags, the product that we have on our countertops, in the bathroom, it's pretty much in every corner of the house. And so as we were kind of going deeper into our conversation, we started talking about wipes more specifically. And so amongst my fellow co-founders are four little ones, and I grew up in a household where wipes were basically just a part of our daily lives. And so we were talking about that, and then we looked at kind of the majority of the products, especially in terms of like flushable wipes that are available on the shelf today, and they all come in that flat packed plastic bag packaging, which is actually supposed to be thrown away in the trash. And I know some folks end up recycling them thinking they're recycle grade plastic, but they're actually not. And what happens is they go through the system and then they end up clogging the recycling machines. And so we thought to ourselves, well, okay, why something so essential like flushable wipes, right? How is it that we're compromising on design and sustainability? And so this is where we really started to feel inspired and kind of how our conversation sparked our vision. And so our goal from that conversation was really, okay, we want to create a flushable wipes product that is both sustainable and looks good in your home. And so that's kind of where we started and started talking about, our vision and really looked into more of the development itself. And so we we started out by putting together a vision board of what we thought would be the perfect flushable wipe. And so kind of asking ourselves, right, how can we get it to almost feel like a moist but effective toilet paper? And so we thought, all right, it has to be the right size, it has to be the right feel, it has to be durable so it performs well, but it also has to be soft. And one of the other things that was really important for us was having the plant-based component. And so we want to make sure that we're sourcing the best fibers in terms of plant-based, and having a high percentage of plant pulp within the wipe, so which ensures flushability and sustainability. And so, at the same time, we were thinking about also just changing the format, as we talked about how a lot of everything is flat packed. And so we thought to ourselves, all right, well, what if it stands up, right? Everything kind of lies down. And so what if we went against the grain of what everybody else is doing and it actually stands up? And so that's when we did a lot of testing and engineering and innovating of thinking about, all right, so if it stands up and we're using a tube, then the wipes would have to be on a roll, which is actually very different than what traditionally you find in with flushable wipes, where they're kind of flat, like packed and stacked on top of each other. And so putting flushable wipes on a roll is a very new thing in the category. And so we did a lot of testing and innovation, and came up with like a custom design and engineered a patented solution to actually spin our wipes, but also have the right amount of perforation for easy tear. You obviously don't want it to tear too easily, but you want it to also not be impossible, right? Where you require two hands. And so that was a big component in a lot of the brainstorming and the work that we did to for the actual wipes itself. And then across the board, just as we're doing more of that thought process, is the actual formulation as well. So the juice for the wipes. And so we wanted to formulate something that would be, again, good user experience. And so that's kind of the common theme that we really carry through a lot of the product development in the beginning, is what is good user experience. And so with the formulation, the juice, what is good experience is it can't leave a residue, it can't feel oily, and it has to work for sensitive skin as well, just given the nature of the product. And so we made sure we were using as many natural and organic ingredients in our formulation. And so making sure that there's no toxic chemicals. And traditionally, a lot of traditional wipes tend to use like parabens as a preservative for shelf life. And so that was something very important for us. And so all in all, as we were kind of looking at what's on the market, we wanted to make sure that our products were pH balanced, hypoallergenic, paraben free, and phthalate free. And so we did a ton of testing and
Wow.
certifications to
So
make sure
there's a
that
lot of
that would
science to
be
that. I mean, I would
the case.
say
What's that?
there's a lot of science that's going into what you're doing. I mean, I would say more than the average CPG product, right? I mean,
Yes.
how do you find the right co-manufacturing partners that can keep up with you in terms of how far you're pushing the envelope?
Yeah, that was a really tough part in our journey, especially just because, right, as it's like finding a white space in the market and the category is good, but at the same time, that what that means is that a lot of manufacturers have their way of producing flushable wipes. And so finding a co-man to really believe in us as a team, but also believed in our product and our vision, and to want to be able to do this together was a really tough and kind of stressful part on our journey. We reached out to, multiple manufacturers in the beginning, and it was either no response or a lot of no's, a lot of rejections. And the response would be that it was too complicated, it's difficult to automate, and basically nobody was interested in trying something new or different. They all saw it as a liability. And so
Yeah.
thankfully, we obviously, I mean, this was a strong vision of ours and we wanted to get this done. So we continued reaching out to multiple people, and we found a manufacturer who wanted to take on that challenge and actually wanted to do something innovative and different in the category. And so he has helped us significantly in terms of the actual manufacturing. It's made in the USA. All the testing and certifications are done with our manufacturer.
Wow. That's impressive. So you have a couple of SKUs, right? So you
Yep.
have the juice that you talk about is a clearly a pretty intense process of finding that formulation. But how do you figure out what those SKUs are? I mean, what kind of iterative process did you have to follow there?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, as we talked about good user experience, we really wanted to make sure that there was an unscented hypoallergenic version. That was absolutely critical for us to be able to offer that for our consumers. And so initially, like, that was a no-brainer in terms of just making sure that we had that SKU. And then the other component was we also have a community and an audience that really embraces fragrance and prefers fragrance. And so that was, as we were evaluating, as you said, in terms of the SKUs that we were going out with, we really wanted to launch unscented and one scented fragrance.
Cool. Do you have a sample of your product lying around that we
I
could take a look at? So,
do. Yes, this is
So
the scented.
awesome. So that's, there it is in the flesh. So it's got a, like you said, it's got a very different form factor than anything else in the space. And it, I mean, I've had a few samples. I think it's, for what it's worth, I think it's really cool. I think it's really interesting.
Thank you.
Um, What's the thought process around where it sits on the retailer's shelves, how it's merchandised? Because it is different, right? It is a different product that has disruptive potential for sure. But because it's got a different form factor, presumably it merchandises in a different way. How do you want to see, in a perfect world, this product on the shelves in every retailer in America in 5 years?
Yeah, we are in a retailer right now called Happier Grocery in New York City. And the unique, to your point, the unique part about our product is that it's really looked as both personal care, but also as a commodity item. And so we're actually merged in two areas, precisely those areas. And so one is more geared towards personal care items, and then the other is in kind of the bathroom toilet paper aisle. And so I think there's the really big part about our product, and I think what is different about it is the fact that because it's such a different format, right? Like it stands up. It's one of those things where you really having it in your home, it's lovely to see and you want to put it and use it as part of like almost your bathroom decor. And so
Right.
I think with that instinctually, it becomes kind of a premium product where you leave it out. You want to be able to use it and like show it off and say like, oh, this is like a personal care product of mine versus just, oh, it's just a flushable wipes. Because I
Yeah.
think there's also that stigma when, right, like you have the plastic bag sitting on top of your toilet, and if you have people coming over, those are one of the items you immediately tuck away because you don't want to be outed by your guests. And so this is the complete opposite of it. And so I think there's that's the big advantage in terms of like a merchandising perspective that we can really play into both areas.
Do you have any vision of the product being used or sold into commercial applications, restaurants or shops or cafes, or is it focused primarily strictly on the in-home use?
I think it can absolutely translate into that. It's really about, again, like for us, like how we envisioned it was, right, the person who is an exceptional host, right? Someone is coming over to the house or someone's going to be staying with you, and you actually take out the loose to say, "Hey, I'm a good host. I want to take care of you." And so I
Yeah.
think that absolutely translates into a commercial factor of being in hospitality, being in restaurants, hotels, resorts, where it is very much looked at as that, as here's an additional product, right? Because we care about your experience and all of that.
Yeah, that's
100%.
cool. It's kind of like when you bring out the fine china for the distinguished guests that are coming
Yeah,
over, right? Um,
exactly.
I mean, I think it's a great idea. So you mentioned a retailer that you're in now, or what's your early stage, but what's the next 6 to 12 months look like in terms of the geography or where it might be available or where you'd like it to be available? What types of accounts are you targeting, and what's the user experience in terms of being able to purchase the product?
Yeah, so we are available on our website via D2C. So we're available at loowipes.com nationally. But from a retail perspective, we definitely want to focus on local chains in New York City. Being a New York City brand, that is something important for us, and especially so because New York City has one of the oldest sewer systems.
Yeah.
It's actually like 200 years old. And so for us, right, if we can really prove flushability here and usability as a product here, we feel like it can be easily translated for other folks and areas in the nation. And then definitely going towards, independent retailers with a really nicely curated selection of products. I think it's one of our products is something that looks good. And so we want to sit next to other brands that really care about kind of the branding and packaging design and want to be sitting alongside those types of products. And then definitely national natural grocers, online retailers like Sprouts, Whole Foods Market, Fresh Time Market, Grove Co. Um, and then definitely buzzy retailers like Erewhon. Like that would be the
Yeah.
dream.
Cool. No, I think you're on the right track. You guys have a good plan. I'm really excited to see how it evolves over the next couple of years, and we're happy to be partnered with you. So thank you for joining. This has been fun.
Thank you so much, Peter.